Hello, my name is Paul Reeder. Welcome to this presentation titled You Know Me, Now Prove It. For more information about me, visit paulreeder.com or find me on Twitter at paulreeder. First, a little bit about you and about this presentation. If you're here today about to watch this presentation, it's likely that you're either a marketing professional or someone in the technology space interested in the utilization of technology to optimize the customer experience. As we think about this presentation today, what I would like you to do is put yourself in the following mindset. So imagine as a marketer or as a marketing technologist, you've effectively utilized search advertising, social media, and other tactics to drive visitors to your website. And those people who are visiting your website are scanning it for relevant content. They find a piece of content that appears interesting, but access to that higher value content is gated. In other words, you want to convert them from an unknown person to a known person by having them give up their identity, their name and their email address at a minimum, and perhaps additional information. So as a result of this context, a web form appears because you want to turn them into a known person in your database. And it's at this moment in time that there's a moment of truth. So what happens now? And it's this moment in time that this presentation focuses on. What we're going to do is we're going to explore how this moment of truth relates to your brand and the European Union privacy regulations. We're going to look at how awareness of societal norms can inform your view of nurturing customer relationships. We're going to look at how insights into psychology can guide your marketing strategy, and we're going to look at how marketing talent and skill development must adapt as best practices shift. Let's get started. First of all, we need to first understand this basic societal concept known as reciprocity. And at its most basic level, reciprocity really is about achieving some sort of a balance between giving and receiving. If we think about stories of our own lives, as we are befriending people or as we're developing or maintaining the relationships that we have in our lives, then those relationships are full of give and take scenarios. So gifting, for example, where we feel as though we need to give someone a gift to show our appreciation or to recognize the contribution or something that someone does for us in our lives. As soon as we give something to someone else, something happens in the receiver's mind. And within a receiver's mind, when someone receives a gift, you naturally have this feeling that you feel obliged to reciprocate it. And it's this undertone societal norm that we need to keep in mind here, because it is a pervasive underlying concept that is, you'll find out in a moment, underpins how we need to think about the design of digital interactions. So to take this notion of reciprocity a step further, there are different types of reciprocity. There is one way of looking at reciprocity in terms of its instrumental value. In other words, if I give you a gift, then as the giver, then the thing that you're going to receive back will need to be in approximate equal value. So if I give you something worth £5 or $5 or €5, then it's natural then to expect that you're going to receive something back that would be worth approximately that same value. So that 5 sterling, pounds or dollars. So it's this notion that reciprocity it operates on instrumental value, that we just unconsciously, as we operate within our lives, presume that reciprocity will have some sort of equality to it as we give and take to each other in our lives. Another way to think about reciprocity, however, is to think about symbolic value. And to paint a picture of what this means, we might want to think about branding. So we all know about the brands that are highly marketed, and we all know that there are brands at different ends of the spectrum in terms of price and quality. So if you think about high-end luxury brands, say a Rolex for a watch or Bentley for a car, then certainly the brand that they have created, the imagery and the associations that have been imbued upon that brand mean that then the symbolic value is that you're giving money, and in this particular case you're buying something, but there's actually a disproportion between the value of the thing that you're paying for and the thing that you're getting. However, if we want to think about that in other terms, then we can think about the fact that just generally speaking, the relationships we have. So we may give something of very little value, let's say if we're giving to a charity, so on, if we're trying to help an important cause, the amount that we give may be quite low. However, the value that we get back in terms of a sense of contribution to our world and our community may be quite high. So these are just two examples of the fact that there's instrumental value. There's one way of thinking about reciprocity in terms of there being expectations that what we give and receive will be of equal value, but there are also certain circumstances where reciprocity has this unbalanced quality to it as well. So we needed to start with this notion of reciprocity because it is an underlying, unspoken, almost unconscious societal norm that actually has an impact on the expectations that all of us have as we interact with each other, and the expectations that we have in terms of how we interact each other impose themselves in terms of the expectations that we all bring to our digital experiences. So flash forward to the moment in time, that moment of truth that we painted a picture of at the beginning of this talk, where you've invested significant resources in order to draw people who may be prospective buyers of your product or service to your website. You've invested perhaps even a high proportion of your marketing resource funds in order to get these prospective buyers to this particular point. And as a result of that investment, it is crucial then for you as a marketer to figure out how to do this effectively in order to handle this moment in truth in such a way that is going to be good for the prospective customer and is also going to be good for your business. So what are you trying to accomplish? Well, the marketer is really thinking these things. They're thinking that they want to uncover the person's identity. They want to collect data to uncover that particular person's interests, and then by understanding the identity in that person's interest, they want to use that data collected in order to deliver a personalized experience. In other words, they want to position the right information to you as an individual at exactly the right time in order to create a positive, delightful customer experience that isn't mass marketing. Instead, it's a continuation of a journey that was initiated by the prospective customer themselves. And this is the major paradigm shift that marketing is going through at this particular time in history. So this is the marketer's mindset. Now, what is going through the mind of the visitor? So the visitor has come to the website with a completely different frame of mind. They have a particular need or a problem, and they have gone out in the internet in order to find solutions or products or services to address that particular need or problem. They've arrived as a result of their journey through search engines or by discovering the advertising and other things that you may have placed out into the world in order to attract this visitor to this particular place. You've designed your internet experience around the understanding of the visitors or the personas of the people that are likely to be buyers of your products and service, and you've designed the content on your site in order to help move them through the buyer experience. Now they've reached this moment in time where they have a desire to consume higher value content, and so now we're back to this notion of reciprocity. On the one hand, you as the marketer are offering something of value to the consumer because you're offering a piece of content or a tool or an application or some sort of a something that will help that particular consumer make their mind up about what they're going to do. And now at this particular moment in time, it's up to the visitor to decide if it's of value enough to them to give away their information. So this is what they're thinking. They're thinking, is what's being offered to me worth what I'm about to give away, which is my information? And as they're thinking about this, they're thinking, do I trust this company or the brand? And what will they do with the information that they collect about me? And as they do things with that information, will I benefit from the firm collecting my information? So this is the mindset of the visitor. Now we need to hold first the notion of reciprocity, and then this context through the perspective of the marketer and the visitor in our minds, and we'll continue forward, layering in different aspects of this talk. The next thing to think about is brand experience. So what is brand experience? Well, brand experience in the interactive world is not only a logo. No, it's not a creative element, not in and of itself. So it's not things like your stationery. It's not the look and feel of your website, although it's all of these things. It's more than design. It's more than aesthetic. Brand experience is the essence of thoughts and attitudes about your firm that people assemble in their minds through the accumulation of experience. In other words, brand is not what you put out there. Brand is how people experience what you've put out there. Now, if that is what brand experience is, then what is a brand promise? In other words, what is behind the curtain in the business that has resulted in a company trying to create certain brand experiences? Well, that is a brand promise. What is a brand promise? Well, a brand promise is a commitment that you as a strategic marketer make to consistently producing a certain type of brand experience. So a brand promise is how an organization has gone through their strategic thought process in order to make determinations on the types of brand experiences that they want to consistently create at all touch points for the customer. These are two important concepts. And they're two important concepts because at this moment in time, when the visitor on the website is trying to make up their mind whether or not they're going to give up their information, whether or not there's enough reciprocity there, and whether or not it's in their interest, then trust comes into play. If we look at the left axis here, low to high, and if we look at the bottom axis being willingness to share personal information, then if the trust is low, then the willingness to share their personal information will be low. In other words, the positioning of this would be the red shaded area would be in the bottom left. If trust is high, then it's likely then the willingness to share personal information will also be high. So the area we would be operating in, the quadrant we would be operating in, is the top right. And so that is really what we are trying to do as marketers, is we are trying, by creating a brand promise, an intentional brand promise that is really truly about the customer, about a commitment to creating certain brand experiences, and we're delivering on that in order to create delightful customer experiences at every touch, then we are going to develop a reputation. And as a result of developing that reputation, then people who come to us will trust us to do the right thing with their information. They'll trust us that we will use that information in order to actually apply it in such a way that does optimize their experience, that does personalize their experience in a way that's valuable to them. So the trust, willingness to share personal information matrix. Now, going back to the next moment of truth, now what if they do give their information? What if in that moment in time the prospective customer has actually made the decision in their mind that the content, the experience, or the tool that you were offering at that previous moment in truth was sufficient for them to give up their identity, and for you to have the opportunity to collect their information. Now, this is the second moment of truth. And what this is it's a moment in time where you as a company have the ability to deliver on your promise or not. So this is a particularly important and crucial thing to think about, because that first moment of truth in getting the person's identity is a milestone, but you need to think about that as a gift. Now, if you can think as a marketer that person who has come to your site has actually given you a gift of information. They've given you a gift of their personal data. They've given you a gift of offering to you the ability for you to collect information about their behaviors and their interaction trends, which give you insight into what they're potentially interested in buying. This is a massive gift to you as a marketer and to a business. This is a gift of data. And what is behind the psychology of the gift? Well, to think about the notion of the psychology of the gift, then again, going back to societal and sociological norms, then what is a relationship fundamentally? Well, ultimately, any relationship that you can think of, whether it be a business relationship or whether it be a personal one, a relationship is really a series of reciprocated gestures. So I do something nice for you and you do something nice for me, and I say something kind to you and you say something kind to me. And as we support each other with reciprocated gestures of kindness, so relationships build and so relationships are sustained. And it's only through these relationships that we find a place within our work, within our families, within our circle of friends, within the companies we work for. And we need to keep in mind that building relationships with prospects and customers is no different. They are impacted by these fundamental laws of human nature and human interaction. So obviously, if you're giving a gift to someone you care about, what kind of a gift will be received with the greatest amount of symbolic reciprocity? In other words, what kind of gift is going to be highly appreciated? Well, the gifts that are highly appreciated are the ones that show that you actually listened, isn't it? I mean, they're the gifts that show that you actually know something special about that person. And so it's no different in business relationships. If, as marketers, we need to think in terms of personalization to relevance. So if personalization is incredibly high, then the relevance of the things that are received are also very high. So as a marketer, then it is incumbent upon us to use this gift of data that has been provided to us in order to provide a brand promise back to our consumers, that we will utilize it in order to create highly personalized experiences at every touch point. And as we deliver on that promise, the relevance and perceived value of each of those touches and experiences will be incredibly high to the prospective customer or existing customer. Now, how can we do that when people are actually taking action all over the place? I mean, they're interacting with social channels like LinkedIn and Facebook, and they're sharing information in places like SlideShare, and they're tweeting to each other, and they're going to websites, and there's analytics collected about that, and they're utilizing all different types of systems, and all different types of technologies are being utilized in order to provide that aspect of their digital experience. Well, if we're actually going to create a highly relevant personalized experience, then we need to think in terms of, as marketers, about multi-source profiles. So profiles need to be created by your marketing platform by creating profiles that by people opting in because they want to have that highly personalized experience, to give you the right to collect that information because they trust your brand to deliver that highly optimized, personalized experience. So we're going to have to rely on getting that opt-in, and then by utilizing our integrations between various different systems in order to deliver on that promise. So really, as a marketer, we need to stop thinking about batch and blast. We need to stop thinking about mass marketing. The paradigm shift is towards true personalization, and 90% of companies out there are still mass marketing, or they're marketing to narrowcast segments. So they're still doing blast marketing, they're still doing mass marketing, but to narrower groups of people. Moving forward with marketing is really about taking the next step in the journey towards maximizing the promise that technology can bear upon the optimized customer experience. And there's two stages to that. First, it's moving beyond just doing narrowcast, batch, and blast to a smaller group of segments. No, it's utilizing technology to really understand what people want, and then being able to use that self-initiation in order to create a one-to-one behavior-driven experience. And ideally then, it's moving towards true personalization where people are only receiving messages and offers and communications at the right time. The message is exactly based on what it is that they're doing at that particular moment in time, what the problem or need that they have at the particular moment in time, and the way that the experience is occurring in a personalized way is happening at the customer's channel of choice. This is the future of marketing. Now, what does it mean in terms of brand reputation and satisfaction of customers? Well, if we're able to follow everything that we've spoken about thus far, then the brand reputation will increase. So if we go back to the very beginning of this, where we have these moments of truth, and people are actually opting in to the first moment of truth of giving you their information and letting you know who they are, and then the second moment of truth is what you actually do with that data. If, as a business, you don't have the strategy and the ability to deliver on those moments of truth, your brand reputation will suffer, customer satisfaction will be low, and that will cause serious issues for the long-term success of your operation. However, if you're able to deliver on those moments of truth, if you're able to use the gift of data that's provided to you by prospects and consumers, then your brand reputation will increase over time. And by creating highly satisfactory, personalized customer experiences, they will have greater satisfaction as well, which is good for your business. Now, to sum it all up, these are all of the matrices that we looked at throughout the talk today. So the first thing that we looked at was the bottom right of this, what I call strategic focal point graphic. So the first thing is, just to sum it all up, we need to build trust. And in order to build trust, we need to think about these moments of truth, and we need to deliver on them. If you have a brand that is trusted, if you have a brand that actually delivers on the personalized brand experience promise that you've made, then people's willingness to share their personalization will be high. If people are actually going to opt in because they have a high degree of trust in your ability to deliver, then the next thing is whether or not you do deliver on the promise of personalized experience, so the matrix on the bottom right. So are you going to deliver a personalized experience that is highly relevant to the individual person or the individual prospect or customer? And if you're able to do that, then looking at the top part of this graphic, then your brand reputation will go up, and so too will customer satisfaction. So this graphic represents really what you should be striving for with your marketing strategy, and hopefully this helps summarize what it is that we've covered today. To conclude, we bring our social norms and expectations to our digital interactions, and we can't forget it. Brands that make a promise and then consistently deliver on that promise earn trust. And opt-in rates will reflect the degree to which visitors trust your brand and believe the data collected will result in a better experience for them. It's about delivering on that promise of a delightful experience through personalization. In other words, this is also the right strategic response to European Union privacy directives. People are frustrated and are demanding changes in privacy laws, not because they're necessarily concerned about, let's put it another way. The reaction shouldn't be fear about privacy. The reaction should be an adaptation of our strategy in order to ensure that people actually want to give you their information. That's what it's all about. And that's what this talk is, trying to help you discover for yourself. So now, when prospects opt in, remember, they're giving you a gift of data. And if they're giving you a gift of data, then the expectation is an interchange of value. They've given you something of value. Now, they are expecting something of value in return from you. Value is generated from data collected by delivering personalized, relevant experiences on an individual basis. So therefore, marketing skills in demand or high demand center around automating high value, automated interactions. Thank you for your time today. To find out more, please visit paulreeder.com or find me on Twitter at paulreeder.